AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here with another set of our GE Top 25 rankings, now heading into Week 6 of the college football season. And while Week 5 was absolutely phenomenal, saw some great games, saw a handful of upsets, there really weren't too many shakeups in our rankings heading into this next weekend, the first college football Saturday of October. So we're here to break down this set of rankings, guys, kind of break down the reasoning, break down every single team, get you ready for this upcoming weekend, one that's going to majorly shake up our rankings heading into Week 7. So once again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on thegridironexpert.com. We are beating out over 80% of the national handicappers and have been doing so for each of the last 5 years. We are on a 29-11 run over the last 4 weeks, killing it over these last 4 weeks, including a 10-0 week in Week 4, including over 60% in Week 5. If you want guaranteed winnings, money right back in your pocket, and the best customer service any handicapper in the country is going to give you, this is the place for you. Go check it out. The link for it down in the description below, as well as our Patreon account and our mailing address to get exclusive college football content and to send us some gear. Not here at the original GEHQ, but at our other location, so you can represent your team in every single video. So let's dive into these rankings, guys, and actually it'll go by pretty quick. Why? Because we said there weren't too many shakeups, and that's the case because there was not a single shakeup in our rankings in the top 9. The top 9 teams remained the same, and really there was no reason to change them, right? Georgia beat Auburn on the road 27-20. While maybe it was a little too close for comfort for some Georgia fans, you have to be encouraged by Carson Beck and throwing for over 300 yards on the road, the toughest test Georgia has faced so far this year. Georgia gets the win. I cannot justify moving another team ahead of them for that number 1 spot. Michigan, we said they started slow in non-conference play, but once conference play hit, they'd light it up. That's exactly what they've done each of the last 2 weeks. They killed Rutgers, and then they just killed Nebraska on the road 45-7. So the Wolverines stay at number 2. Florida State did not play, had a bye week. They take on Virginia Tech this upcoming week. Not going to move the Seminoles down for not playing. Texas beat Kansas, number 24 Kansas, 40-14. Really was a slow start. Kansas was in that game without Jalen Daniels for about 2.5 quarters, and then Texas really blew it open, ended up winning by 26. But the Longhorns were 4 last week. They stay at 4 this week. Cannot justify moving them over Florida State, Michigan, anybody like that. Penn State beats Northwestern 41-13, similar to Texas, kind of overcoming a slow start and then really blowing it open later on in the game. So the Nittany Lions looking really, really good. They remain at number 5. Ohio State did not play, fresh off that win over Notre Dame. Get the bye week. They have Maryland this next week, and that's an intriguing game, considering that the Terrapins are undefeated. So keep an eye on that one as we head into Week 6, and we'll break that one down later on this week. Washington in at number 7. They beat Arizona 31-24. Again, a little bit too close for comfort, especially considering Arizona did not have Jaden DeLora, but Michael Penix still lighting up these defenses. Washington still getting the win. I think they're the best offense in the country, maybe the most efficient team in the country as well. Huskies come in at 7. Oregon in at 8 after annihilating Stanford 42-6. Found themselves down, 6-0, and then scored 42 unanswered. So Oregon lighting it up this week just like they did last week against Colorado. USC played Colorado, allowed the Buffaloes to battle back in that game. It looked like USC had it completely under control. It was going to be another blowout for Deion Sanders and his team, and the Buffaloes battled back. Give them credit for the fight, but USC ultimately escaping Boulder with a 48-41 victory. What a shootout. I mean, that's exactly what we expected with 2 teams that don't know how to play defense and 2 teams that have phenomenal quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders. But USC getting the win over Colorado, 48-41. Wraps up the teams that did not change in the top 10. And then we have a minor change. Notre Dame moving up 1 spot for us from number 11 to number 10 after going on the road and being number 17 Duke 21-14. Blew a 13-0 lead. Allowed Duke to come back and take the lead. And then Sam Hartman, cool as a cucumber, marching his team down the field, retaking the lead, getting the conversion, and ultimately escaping with a win over a good Duke team. So Notre Dame was number 11. They get that ranked win, and they jump into number 10. That also helped because Utah's loss to Oregon State, which we'll get to here in 1 second. Over in the second column, Alabama destroys Mississippi State 40-17. They move up 2 spots in our rankings. Crimson Tide looked better, even though it was Mississippi State, a team they've dominated for about over the last decade. Alabama did look very, very good. This was a great kind of tune-up game as they prepare now to head into College Station to take on a solid Texas A&M team. Watch out for a potential upset there. Alabama up 11, also benefiting from the Utah loss, benefiting from the LSU loss, and again, we'll talk about those in a second. Washington State up 2 spots. They had a bye week, benefiting from the teams that lost ahead of them, moving up 2 all the way to number 12. They've got UCLA on the road this next week. That's a trap game for the Cougars, guys. They're going to be, yes, underdogs in that game, but right now they're a top 15 team in the country, have Pac-12 title aspirations. UCLA looking to end those on Saturday. So watch out for that one on Saturday afternoon. North Carolina up 3, like Washington State, did not play, but benefited by moving 3 spots because of teams that lost ahead of them. The Tar Heels are looking really, really good, guys. Have looked definitely better on both sides of the ball, I'd say. Offense still pretty dang good. Obviously, defense certainly has improved from last year. UNC, 13th in the country for us. They have Syracuse up next. A Syracuse team that might be reeling a little bit from a very disappointing home loss and just home performance against Clemson. I think a lot of us thought they might be able to take down the Tigers, at least put up a better fight, especially after Clemson's heartbreaking loss to Florida State, and the Orange just didn't show up. Just couldn't get it done. So UNC up 3 spots there. Ole Miss up 5 spots after playing in the game of the week by taking down LSU 55-49. Took down number 13 LSU 55-49 in Oxford. The Rebels up 5 spots for us from number 19 to number 14. This is a top 15 team, guys, and they're one of the best offenses in the country as well. I mean, they don't know how to play a lick of defense. Neither does LSU, but the offense can match anyone step for step, and the offense, I think, makes up for that lack of defense. So credit to Ole Miss, credit to Lane Kiffin for getting that massive, massive home win. What was just an absolutely unbelievable game. Came down to the very last play. LSU's last-ditch effort falling short. And the Rebels, now 14th in the country, take on Arkansas this next week. And then you got to start taking them seriously, guys. They should cruise past Arkansas in theory. And the Rebels could be a legitimate SEC title contender, SEC West contender, especially with LSU now kind of spiraling out of control with already 2 losses so far this year. Crazy to think about. Oregon State was another major winner. So Ole Miss went up 5 for us. Oregon State went up 5 for us after their massive win at home over Utah. Number 10 Utah beat them 21-7, but they didn't have Cam Rising. Now I'm not taking anything away from Oregon State for that win. Obviously, it was very impressive that Utah defense is legit, and when Oregon State went in there, had multiple big-time plays, dropped 21 points on a Utah defense that had been lighting it up all year long, and the week prior had just held UCLA to 7 total points. So this is a very good Utah team that Oregon State was able to manage to take down and do it in convincing fashion. So this is a team that I think many people kind of wrote off after their loss to Washington State, and Jonathan Smith and the Beavers said, no, we're not done. We are still Pac-12 title contenders. We are still a top 15 team, and that showed on Friday night in Corvallis. So give credit to the Beavers. They're up 5 spots along with Ole Miss. Probably the 2 biggest winners from Week 5, and they get the biggest risers in our rankings. Oklahoma up 2 to number 16. They beat Iowa State 50-20. Some would say, why are they so low? Why is Oklahoma not higher? And here's why. The Sooners haven't played anybody. Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa, Cincinnati, Iowa State. None of those wins are all that impressive. The Sooners have looked good in them. They have looked drastically better than they did last year. 30-point win in conference play is impressive. Beating Cincinnati by 14 on the road is impressive. They have no wins over a ranked opponent. All of those teams were significantly inferior. Oklahoma was a double-digit favorite in every single one of those games, and they were taking care of business, so good for them, but they don't have a good resume-boosting win right now. They have an opportunity this week to get that in the Red River Showdown where they take on Texas. So Sooners are still good. Love the offense. Love what I'm seeing, but I can't justify putting them in the top 15. Can't justify putting them at 13th, 12th, anything like that because they haven't really beat anybody. So Oklahoma does have that opportunity, though, if they can beat Texas, which will be the game of the week on Saturday. Miami in at 17 off their bye week. Didn't move at all in our rankings. Some of the teams that lost ahead of them didn't really affect Miami moving up or down. So the Hurricanes stay at number 17. Duke only down 3 following their loss to Notre Dame. Again, I'm not going to punish a Duke team that showed a lot of resiliency, showed a lot of fight, battling back, nearly won that game, and then maybe lost Riley Leonard for an extended period of time in the final seconds there. So this is a Duke team that does not deserve to plummet. This is a Duke team that still deserves a lot of credit. They only dropped 3 spots in our rankings, number 18. Utah drops 9 after that loss to Oregon State, as we just mentioned. It just shows how badly they need Cam Rising. The defense is good, but the defense can only do so much. You have to have an offense that can complement you. You have to have an offense that can help you out. and Nate Johnson or whoever's going to be under center for the Utes isn't the answer. We thought Cam Rising would be back a long time ago. He's still not. Utah still has a chance to win the Pac-12. They maybe still have a chance to make the playoff. A lot of big games up ahead for them, but none of that's going to happen if they can't get Cam Rising back or if they just can't figure it out offensively, because the offense is atrocious, and that's going to be their downfall until something changes. But the Utes down 9 from 10th to 19th following that road loss to Oregon State. Kentucky in at number 20 after their massive win over Florida. Everybody said, Florida's going to win. Their defense is great. Yeah, and their defense allowed 280 rushing yards to Ray Davis. I mean, come on, guys. We picked Kentucky. It was a big win. The Wildcats won 33-14. Wasn't even close over their rivals. They've now won 3 straight over Florida, and they absolutely deserve to jump from unranked to number 20 in our rankings. And honestly, you can make the argument they could be a little bit higher after that dominant performance and this undefeated start. Third column real quick. Missouri does not move in the rankings after their win over Vanderbilt, 38-21. They have a big game now at home against LSU. Tennessee, number 22, moves up just one spot after their 21-point victory over South Carolina, the game that the Gamecocks called the Super Bowl for Tennessee. Sure, a bit of a revenge game, of course, but obviously Tennessee taking care of business, as they should. LSU, speaking of them, they drop 11. Major drop for the Tigers, right? We were giving them the benefit of the doubt, but if you watch LSU over the course of this year, hasn't been great. Got torched against Florida State, was lucky to escape Arkansas and Death Valley, very fortunate to escape them 2 weeks ago, and then loses on the road to Ole Miss. A team that had playoff aspirations at the beginning of the year has now lost 2 games in the month of September alone, and the schedule's only getting tougher from here. So the Tigers, now with 2 losses, drop a lot. 11 spots in our rankings. Still have them classified as a top 25 team, but barely holding on at number 23. They will drop out if they lose to Missouri. Honestly, the loser of Missouri LSU will drop out of our rankings on next week. So a massive game in Columbia on Saturday morning. Stay tuned for that one. And then Kansas State and Fresno State rounding out our top 25. Neither team moving in the rankings. We had Kansas State at 24th last week. They had a bye week this last week. They take on Oklahoma State on Friday. And then Fresno State, we had them at 25. They beat Nevada by 18 points. Now, some would say that a team like Louisville should be in there. A team like Maryland, UCLA, someone should be slipped in our rankings. They're all on the right outside looking in, right? Louisville is number 26 in our rankings. Maryland, right on the outside. UCLA, Tulane, right on the outside. But I can't justify booting Kansas State out, booting Fresno State out for one of those teams that we just mentioned. They're not going to get punished for a win. They're not going to get punished for a bye week. Louisville is the only team that can really consider maybe putting in and dropping out Fresno State. Couldn't put myself to do it, as the Bulldogs are a legitimate Mountain West title contender and maybe the best group of 5 team in the country this year. So we'll see what happens next week. Maybe one of those teams slips in, but those 2 teams maintaining their spot from our rankings from last week. So there you have it, guys. Our Week 6 GE Top 25 heading in to this upcoming weekend of college football. First Saturday of October. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. We're going to have the top games of the week coming to you tomorrow. Then our game of the week, deeper analysis coming out Wednesday through Friday. Get ready, guys. These rankings will change drastically by next Monday. The college football landscape is going to change drastically by next Monday. And, of course, we're going to have you covered every step of the way. So once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. 29-11 run, hitting over 60% of our bets this year. Do not miss out on that. Check out the Patreon account. Check out the mailing address to send us some of your team's gear. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.